This is something that families have been resonating with for a long time. It's nice for them to get a chance to actually see it for themselves. Honestly, this is like how they feel. Like for their kids and their families, they're frustrated where they are. That's like something that even I feel for my kids. You know, whether it's the right school, whether it's the wrong school, how much they're paying in tuition, trying to work all these things out throughout their life. It's literally something that they get passionate about, but they haven't. There's no answer for them. It happens to every family I've spoken to. It happens. There's no true answer to why or what is the end result. At the end of the day, like, what do you do? Do you move your kids out of the big city? Are you in the right school? Maybe it works for one kid, maybe it works for somebody else, but then what are you gonna end up doing? You're gonna take your kid to like 5 different schools, you have 4 kids, you're gonna drive to 4 different schools? It's not practical, right? Then you're living like a crazy life. Everything is another, you wake up in the morning, you have to like make lunches, take them to this school, take them to that school. 2 hours later, you're back in the car, take them to this school, take them to that school, pick up, drop off. It's hectic, it's a rat race. And that's aside from the cost of living. I mean, Baruch Hashem, some people are doing well, but they still have the issues of whether or not they are making the right decisions for their families. For the families that are not necessarily at that point in life where financials become easier to them, they have to make a lot of hard decisions. Whether it's the right schools, tuitions, and they're dealing with all these kinds of things. You know, do we invite people over for Shabbos? Can we afford to do that? I mean, at the end of the day, these are questions that people have in their life. For people that I've spoken with, a lot of these families, they've lived in a sort of like, not necessarily a bubble growing up, but they live in a type of community where it's maybe a one-size-fits-all, or at least to some capacity, where they need to keep up. Either it's on the one side where they may have to keep up with the Joneses. Again, in some capacity, they go to their friend's house. It's beautiful. They come home to like their condo or their smaller home, and their kids it goes into a child's psyche. So it's nice for them to, number one, be able to be in a more open environment where families are coming from various locations and various backgrounds. You know, you have some families that are a little bit more frum, some families that are less frum, and that's great. The idea is where my kids will grow up with your kids. Who cares? The beauty is that everyone's searching for the same thing. They're searching for more meaning for their children. They're searching for more meaning for themselves in their life, being connected with nature. That's what they want. Otherwise you're sitting in the big cities and that's it, and then you're stuck. And then the days go by, the years go by, and then what happens? You wake up 40 years from now and like, what happened? You didn't give your kids everything that you could have given them. You tried, but you're frustrated half the time. And that's a problem. For a lot of these families, they've never experienced anything like this. You know, they've taken a trip here and there to the Catskills or, you know, the Poconos. It's nice. It's nice to get out, you know, to be able to see the stars and things like that. But to really like experience it with other families that not only are sharing your views, you're like-minded families that they want the same thing for their children and they want the same things for themselves. It's a beautiful thing to kind of like be out here. The vibes are nice. People are together, it's eating together, hear a little shear here and there, you know, it's just nice. Like even in the hotel, you just hanging out in the lobby, just being able to have that lifestyle where you have, again, like-minded families, it's something that you didn't get before. I feel like, even for myself, like part of growing up and part of being an adult in a community, half the time you have to put on a show. It's what it is. Like, we all live like 2 lives when you're living in the big city. It's like you're at home, you want to be loving to your parents, to your children, you want to be loving to your children, and then you go to shul and it's like this guy, that guy, everyone's like putting on another face to kind of be themselves, but it's not real. Just like how people are like naturally gravitating into like groups where they can just chat. Like the women had no problem just like sitting together. Like when you go to a shul, if you go to a new place, usually you try to feel it out. Is this the right kind of table I want to sit at? You know, who are these people? I don't really know this guy. I don't know that girl. You know, just from what I'm seeing, breakfast, lunch, everyone's just like grabbing a plate, sitting down at the table and like chatting. It's like the connection was instant because you know that the families that are all here are all in the same mindset. It's like, it's a new place, but at the same time, everyone's looking for the same thing. So you immediately have that. That's what's kind of cool. A lot of them, it's funny because people are very interested in like, you know, choosing a lot and things like that. A lot of them didn't realize how big an acre actually is. We were looking at the markers, and they're like, oh my gosh, an acre, like where does it end? Like you keep going, keep going, keep going. It's massive. It's 43 or 42,000 square feet. It's a huge piece of property when you're coming from, the tri-state area or California, Florida. You can have a nice piece of property in those states, but what are you talking about? 7,000, 8,000 square foot lots, and those seem relatively big for a decent sized backyard. Acre, it times that by 5, 40,000 plus square feet for your property. So much space for kids to run around. You roll the ball, it just keeps going. It's nice. Shefa to me is a true connection to yourself, to your children, at a slower pace of life where everything truly means something to you. That's really what it is. Where, again, what kind of education you want for your children. You know what kind of family you want to raise. You know what kind of friends that your children are playing with. At the end of the day, you don't know these kinds of things when you're in a class of 20 kids and they're all from different backgrounds, this and that. Like, nobody really knows what they want. Here, when every family knows what they want and had the same search for life in life, they're looking for this. Your kids will grow up with a beautiful connection with nature, a beautiful connection to other families, running around in a safe environment, not dragged down by like billboards that are like just showing shtus or whatever, like just things that like you don't want your children to see. You know that you're not going to have that here. You're going to be able to have a clean environment. Your children are going to be connected with other families. It's just, I don't know, I can't put it into clear words for that, but that's just like, yeah. One of the big questions is obviously parnasa, right? When you're coming from the big city, you might have an established job somewhere. You might even be running your own business, and you have a lot more of a clientele. You have a lot bigger expansion of where you're going to be bringing the parnasa from, or you might be set in your ways. So when you're moving to a new place, a new state, like I don't know if I can make it work, this and that. Like, what are the jobs like over there, this and that. So when the community's starting up slowly, it's more of a question. When the community grows and you have Baruch Hashem, Emir Hashem, I should say, we're going to have 100, 200, 300 families living here. It's a much easier conversation to have when parnasa might be an easier question to answer for some of these families. For the early phases, most of the families are working remotely to some capacity. There are some families that are professionals, whether they're a lawyer, a doctor, they're looking into the local hospitals for potential openings, potential offerings in some of the local hospitals that are not too far from here, 15, 20 minutes. That's like what a lot of them are looking for. And if there's another family that wants to bring his business over here, that's great, beautiful. Maybe it might take him a little bit slower to kind of get things up and running over the next couple months, or once they start moving in, I should say. Then they can do that. But at the end of the day, for the first phase, until we have the core of like 50, 100 families, most people are trying to make it work. But a lot of them are working remotely to some capacity. The other pushback is, I wouldn't say it's so much as a pushback, but it's a question that they have. And the question is, we're used to like city life, right? We love the idea of the slower pace of life. We love the idea of connecting with nature. But like, tachlis, what do I do? Like, in an afternoon that my kids want, like, after school, like, what do we do? Like, now we have like, the neighbors, it's hard to picture it. So it's like, yes, we plan on building parks. We plan on building all these beautiful things on the property for kids to run around and play with their friends. But it's hard to vision it until you see it. Because now it's like you have shops here and there, like women could be a lot more busy, for lack of a better term. They're busy. Doing your Target runs and your Marshalls and your Trader Joe's, and you're having all that kind of stuff. So it's not just a learning curve, and it's not just an adaptation for children, but it's also for parents. Children they're like sponges. It's easy. They're much more adaptable when you throw them into a new environment. But for the parents, that's really where it's going to kick in. They need to like be able to adapt to like this slower pace of life, where like spend more time with your family. That's really what it is. Like when you're able to spend more time with your family, like your life shifts, your focus shifts. It's like you don't have as many errands anymore. Your errands are your children. Like that's what you had children so you could focus on them. And when you're living in the big cities, you don't have time to focus on them. Now you're moving into this place where everything's slower, relaxed. Everyone's in a safe environment. Everyone's like-minded families. That's part of it. You have the time to actually spend with your family. What makes it special is the diverse crowd. It is the diverse crowd. Of course, when you get a beautiful home and a nice piece of property where your kids can run around and everything, but at the end of the day, you want to find people that you connect with. You have your group of friends here and there, but when you're living in a big community, you have your 5, 6 close friends that you talk to. Sometimes it's 2 or 3, maybe it's 1 friend that you talk to. Imagine moving to a place where you have 50, 100 people you can talk to who relate to you. You're on the same level. You want the same things for your children. That is something that I don't think you're going to find anywhere else in the world.